It will be added to your article in Medium Magazine.
Okay, awesome.
You have quite a story, lady.
Yes, this is true.
I can't even imagine what it was like to be taken from your home and separated from your brothers for
Yeah.
years. And you know, it's inspiring that your mother was able to cut her addiction off cold turkey when
Yes, really.
when she had the opportunity to reconnect with you. But how long were you in a foster home before you were able to reconnect with your mother?
So I like to say, God redeemed the time. He said that he restored the time. We had 8 years in foster care and then 8 years with my mom after she was clean until she was killed in a car crash. So the time was redeemed. We got those years back.
But such a traumatic separation, and then to lose her again in a car crash, you've had a lot of healing work to do,
Yes, yes, for sure.
for sure. And I thought it was so precious that you reached out to God before you even were sure there was a God.
Yeah. I didn't know, I wasn't brought up in a church. Um, and the first foster home I was in, they didn't, that I know of, I didn't experience any religious beliefs or Christian faith or anything like that. And in my second foster home, she went to church, but she wasn't practicing um spiritually
Right,
what she should have been practicing. So
right.
until I think it was 19 when I gave my life to Christ,
Uh-huh.
right after my stepmother passed away.
Well, your stepmother made it very clear she wasn't going to build any kind of connection really with you or your brothers. She was just in it to earn the money for taking care of you. Is that right?
Yes, her to for her to say this is not a family, this is a business.
Gosh, what a
And
brutal
just
thing
you
to
could
say.
yeah, and you could see so within her dynamic of friends and family members that she had also go into the foster care system for basically the same reasons. Once she adopted me and my two brothers, most people would be like, well, she adopted you, so she must have cared or, wanted to be a part of your life. But really, the bigger picture for her was adopting us so she could get more foster children. And every child after us was either mentally, emotionally, or physically handicapped so that she could get more money for them.
Oh gosh, I can't even fathom what that must have done to your self-esteem, your image of who you were. How did it affect your brothers?
Um, well, you know what? We don't really, I mean, we talk about it, but we don't talk about it. But I'm based on, the things that they've done and overcame or whatever, anybody would say was definitely took a hit initially as a kid, but they are thriving now, working, great members of society, great dads. So we all have done, all three of us have done a lot of work to be what we are today. So I think that overcoming and just making a choice to not be what we grew up in has helped us push us to thriving.
I imagine your commitment to them and to loving them must have made a big difference in their lives.
Absolutely. My youngest, well, I have to backtrack because I technically, by my mom, I have three brothers, but the youngest one I never met. I don't know him because he was taken at birth.
Okay.
But the one before him, the two that I do know, I was actually at one point his legal guardian.
Mm-hmm.
So he sees me as a mother figure. And my brothers, every year, they always thank me on Mother's and Father's Day
Oh,
for
God.
being an example for both of them. So it's heartwarming at the same time and knowing what we had to experience, but that the example that I hope to be, I actually was. So it does move me when we do sit down and like go back over time and think about where we were. Because when my stepmother died, my brother right up under me, we were sitting at the funeral and we were still in her home at the time, and he looked up at me and was like, "Where are we gonna live now?" And it hadn't even dawned on me. I hadn't even thought about it, but I was like, well, her kids could put us out because technically we wouldn't be, wards of the state for with her anymore. So, um, but it's just thinking about being encouraging and an example, and to still even be an example today, to know that even things that I'm doing and talking about with them is still motivating them to continue to be the men that they are now.
Oh gosh, that is such an inspiring story. I love that I think one of the things you said, Nicole, was that you decided to make yourself the project.
Yes, I
Yeah.
I am my own mission.
Yeah.
I am my mission because a lot of times we get so caught up in blame or whose fault it is or I'm gonna show them or and I was determined not to do that.
Oh gosh, that was so wise of you. I would call that some wisdom from above that was
Absolutely.
before you even knew where that wisdom was coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I write in my book, one of the lines about my stepmother that I write is that I wonder who she was before the pain got in.
Yes.
Because thank God, like you said, from wisdom from above, because at that, I mean, as a teenager, you know things, but you don't really know as much as you think you do.
Right.
And to just have the clarity of mind with all I was already going through, being a mom at 17, still being verbally, mentally, sometimes physically abused, and to just have the clarity of thought that this is temporary, I will rise above this, I am stronger than this. And then to see myself pulling myself up, going for more things and toughing it out and hanging in there. Um, it's an understatement. It is resilience on steroids. It is definitely
Hmm.
something to when you think about college opportunities and being told you can't go to college. I'm not letting you go. You're not, and scholarships, like it wasn't because of money. It wasn't because like I did all the things, I checked all the boxes that I thought you were supposed to check.
Yeah.
And somebody was still there. And I was like, well, I don't want this person to have all my power.
Hmm.
And if I had held on to that bitterness,
I'm
I would
amazed
have
at your wisdom.
I would have if I had said, I'm gonna show you, or I blamed or was angry all the time, then I knew she still had control. And I just I don't want that for myself or anybody else. And so I just was determined not to let her win.
I coach couples, in my coaching practice, and there
Mhm.
are so many adults who are stuck on blaming their unhappiness on their partner. If she
Mhm.
would just change, if he would just change. And when I tell them, blame makes you the victim. Do you want to play the role of the victim? Well, they all say no, and yet they have a hard time giving up blame.
Yeah. You have to own it because blame doesn't feed anything. It's
Well,
like, and then
it,
you can't control another person.
it feeds resentment. It,
Yeah.
it keeps you from assuming responsibility for yourself. It's a nice cop out.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I told one of my clients the other day, I coined a little phrase of my own is put that stuff down instead of PTSD. It's not post-traumatic stress. It's put that stuff down. It doesn't belong to you. Take the backpack off of all the stuff, because I'm like, I know when people hear, I can't forgive, I can't do it. And I'm like, you have to. If you ever really want to be free, you got to put the blame aside and then are you taking ownership of your own role and your own suffering?
Yeah, yeah. Because we can't move forward without owning our own stuff and and making ourselves the project, as you've said. I
Yeah,
love.
because even as a kid, yeah, I didn't have control over what my stepmother did, but after a certain age, I had control over how I responded to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm so impressed and so grateful that you responded to this article the way you did.
Thank
I
you.
hope hundreds of people see this video and get the message loud and clear.
Yes, yes, yes. That's the only reason why I'm out here telling the story. Is there I know who I needed then, and I didn't have anybody. So I'm
Yes.
just hoping that it crosses the paths of people who need somebody, young and old.
You commented very strongly about the good relationship you had with your mother before you were taken from her. I wonder if it was that certainty that you were loved, valued by her, that gave you the foundation for the inner wisdom and strength that you demonstrated later.
Absolutely. I would agree 1,000%. I never put it that way. And I love the way you just phrased that question to me, a statement to me. But absolutely, because that was the only focus that I had was getting back to my mom.
Yeah.
Long as I knew that she might still be alive, the only thing I thought about was getting back to her. So definitely that would be the thing that was a major driver for me. It was running maybe away from one thing and hoping to crash right into being back with my mom. So yeah, absolutely.
So she loved you in such a way that you never questioned your lovability. You knew you were lovable because of how she loved you.
Yes. And I think that oh, you're so good at this. um the I never could, it's actually helping me right now. I never questioned was I loved, but I think along the way of the abuse and pain, I was so in search of that love again that I
Yeah.
was making choices that weren't healthy for myself.
Well, of course. Of
Not
course.
necessarily looking for love like I never got love. Wow, that is good. That's a revelation in this moment. Never really looking for, I wasn't loved. I just was looking for that level of
Yes.
to love, be loved. So
Of,
absolutely.
of course. That's perfectly understandable. Did your brothers go through that same season of looking for security or looking for love or looking for confidence?
Yeah,
Some.
my brothers got in. This their story. I'll let them tell it, but I'll just say they made a lot of bad choices that I wish that they didn't. But sometimes we have to bump our heads to get the direction we really need.
Yes.
And they ran into a couple of brick walls.
Uh-huh.
Finally got the message, and by the grace of God, and I believe a whole lot of prayer from me,
Yes.
that they figured it out. So but they definitely, like, oh, I'm just gonna hang out with these fellas one more time, and one more time led to the worst time and things like that. So I will say they're a lot smarter now, but they had to learn some lessons the hard way for sure.
I think pain is the most powerful lesson teacher. And, if they were capable of learning from the pain they experienced, then they've got some really good smarts because
Hmm.
people just keep making the same mistakes and experiencing the same pain and they never climb out of it. They don't learn from it.
Yes, for sure. I think sometimes it's like I tell people everybody wants things to be smooth and easy, and nobody wants to have bad times all the time, but
Right.
you wouldn't put the value you do on the good times if you never experienced anything bad.
That's true.
And so when I think even about my own life, it's like I wouldn't know the joy with my children, with my brothers, with my family, with friends, new, old, whatever, if I didn't have a meter to gauge it against. So, we can't always, like everybody's saying about the soft life, and I want its ease, and I'm like, you think you want that, but I don't think if you had it, I don't think you would really want it as much as you think you do.
My most valuable lessons that I treasure the most came out of the most painful periods of time in my life. You know, the pain is what motivated me to seek help, to seek truth, to
Yeah,
find, to find the wisdom I needed to get out of pain and stay out of pain.
because discomfort is the catalyst for change.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like I tell people when I was a supervisor at work, you don't know you need new shoes until your feet hurt.
Yeah,
So if you don't ever have any discomfort, you'll just go on and go on and go on, and nothing will ever change. And that some
yeah.
things need to be better, even though it's good, it can be great. It can get better. So you got to feel a little bit of anguish or friction in order to be your best self.
That's so smart. You're full of good wisdom, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise, you too.
And thank you for spending this time with me today. I'll send you a copy of the recording, and it's
Okay.
going to Authority Magazine and will be attached to the written article.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're
Now,
so
is this is this your always your practice, or is it just always done this way? I wasn't ex
It's what they recommend, but not everyone does it.
Okay.
I'm, I'm very consistent about doing it with, or at least offering the video interview to everyone who responds to my questionnaires.
Okay. I like
Okay.
that.
Okay. Very, very nice meeting you. It's such an honor, and I'm so grateful that you had access to that wisdom from above, even before you knew exactly where it was coming from.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm grateful for it too.
Keep doing your good work, lady.
Thank you. You too.
Okay.